Good morning, everyone, and this is my lecture video. I'm Deepa Murugesh, Assistant Professor, Dr. S.S. Rajalakshmi College of Arts and Science. Today, we are just going to see about a lecture video on the poem "Ode to the West Wind." "Ode to the West Wind" is a wonderful nature poem by P.B. Shelley, and today we are just going to explore what sort of a poem is this and what is the significance of this poem. So, Ode to West Wind summary will explain the poem in a better manner. It will help you in analyzing the poem and summarizing it in an effective way. It was written by Percy Bysshe Shelley. The poem was written in the season of autumn. It brings the poet directly addressing the west wind. In other words, he's treating it as a force of death and decay. However, he welcomed the wind despite what it brings. It is because the poet believes that death and decay are necessary for transformation and regeneration. So, throughout the poem, we see the poet explains the importance of west wind, comparing it as a both preserver as well as a destroyer. So thus, this wind will ultimately bring rejuvenation and rebirth. Further, in Ode to West Wind summary, you will find how the poet promoting this rebirth through his poem. He wishes to see the same reform in the society. This is why, in both political and poetic means for a better future of the society on a whole. And also Ode to the West Wind summary in a brief version of the poem written by this English poet Percy Bysshe Shelley. Here, the poem begins with the poet appealing to the west wind of the autumn. So here, the season of the autumn, he notices how the wind scattering the dead leaves and spreading the seeds. This will result in their nurturing in the season of spring. So here, thus, the poet labels the wind as a destroyer as well as a preserver. So how it is a destroyer and how it acts as a preserver. So it is carrying all the dead leaves, seeds, everything to some other places, and all the seeds, the leaves will become nurture for the nature, as well as the seeds will lay as a corpse, and then it will be in the spring season. It will be promoted in the spring season. So while he is calling out for this attention to keep describing it further, he mentions that unusual exploits of the wind and how it is responsible for the waves in the big oceans and the lakes. So in the next stanza, he started explaining about the Mediterranean Sea, how this wind make changes inside the Mediterranean Sea, causing it as a lot of reflection inside the sea, not only Mediterranean but also on the Atlantic Ocean. Once again, he calls the wind out to be it here's to appeal. So the whole poem is like the poet is appealing to the wind. So, to West Wind summary, explain how the poet recalls his lovely relationship with the West Wind in this youth. He also desired to be a dead leaf or a swift. So, what is swift is that speed cloud, so that the West Wind would carry him, therefore, by feeling its strength. So, he really want to become a dead leaf or else a swift, so that he may feel the weight of the wind. So at last, the poem, in the next stanza of the poem, he explains that he appeals to the west wind again. He appeals to the west wind to turn him into a lyre. So it's a musical instrument, lyre. This way, his words can be scattered all over the world like deadly for everyone through the wind. So this is his wish. This is the poet's wish. He wants to become a dead leaf. He wants to become a swift cloud. He wants to become a lion. Moreover, he also asks the wind to become him. At last, so the conclusion is like he concludes by asking the question that if the winter will arrive, so the spring will also not be so far. So we are just waiting. We are in the winter season. So most probably all the nature poet, they explain that the winter is a very sad and it is like a lifeless season. So he says that the spring is not so far from the wind. Thus, he states a metaphor for birth and death. So, in this whole poem, we just get to know about both death as well as the birth. So, it means that death and decay do not mean the end, but also the rebirth. In other words, he believes winter and spring won't be able to sail on the same boat because both are opposite of each other. In addition, he states that there is nothing new in him, decaying as it is inevitable. So he says that death is very common. So, to conclude, Ode to West Wind is a poem that shows in the power of the wind, which brings a change in the natural world. Similarly, the poet wishes for a reform of the society. Moreover, the poem also has underlying themes of optimism and hope for the better future. Thank you.